Welcome to This Day Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Rise News channel. With me are Professor Anthony Killer, Professor of Strategy and Development and an Institute Director at the Commonwealth Institute of Advanced and Professional Studies, as well as Obiaraeri Adamolekun, Executive Director. Enough is enough. Nigeria's presidency on Thursday responded to reports that the Chinese company Zhongzhang Funcheng Industry Investment Company Limited has made several attempts to take over offshore assets of the federal government of Nigeria, describing the development as an act of subterfuge. Part of the alleged plan was the reported seizure of 3 aircraft in the Nigerian presidential fleet. According to a statement issued and signed by Bayo Ononuga, Special Advisor to President Bola Tinubu on Information and Strategy, the federal government is not any under contractual obligation with the company. The case in Zhongshan is trying to use every unorthodox means to strip off our assets is between the company and the Ogun State government. The statement goes further to say that the federal government is fully aware of efforts being made by the Ogun State government to reach an amicable resolution on the matter. And Nigeria's headline inflation rate has decreased to 33.40% in July 2022, down from 34.19% in June 2024. This marks the first decline in the headline inflation since December 2022, when it last dropped to 21.34%. Percentage point. The latest inflation rate figures are based on the National Bureau of Statistics CPI report for July 2024. According to the report, the headline inflation rate decreased by 0.79 percentage points in July 2024 compared to June 2024. On a year-on-year basis, the rate was 9.32 percentage points higher than July 2023, when it stood at 24.08%. This indicates an increase in the headline inflation rate on a year-on-year basis for July 2024 compared to the same month in the previous year. Additionally, on a month-on-month basis, the headline inflation rate in July 2024 was 2.28%, slightly lower than 2.31% recorded in June 2024. Food and non-alcoholic beverages contributed to 17.30% to the year-on-year inflation, followed by housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels at 5.59% and others. To react to these stories, I now turn to financial expert and investment banker, Dr. Nnaemeka Obiaraeri. Good afternoon and great to have you on the show. I mean, let's talk about all of these problems we have with judgment debts and states. It's so difficult for investors to come in here, isn't it? When you look at what has happened to the presidential fleet.
It's quite unfortunate, Rufai, and most unfortunate because this transaction has no relationship with the federal government. It's a contractual obligation. It wasn't as if it was a debt that was borrowed by the state for which the Federal Ministry of Finance provided a guarantee, being a sovereign debt. This is a contractual obligation to build a free trade zone. So seizing the aircraft of Nigeria is not a way of recovering the assets. The Chinese company or contractor trying to be smart by half. And I think the federal government of Nigeria will go all out to recover those aircrafts. And also that also speaks to the fact that we need to look critically at what is happening at the subnational unit. Ogun State case is just a one-off case of the kind of things that we see at the subnational level. Of course, if you go to Twitter, you will see the tweet by Professor Tomi. Yeah. Similar experiences.
It's the same Ogun State.
It's the same thing everywhere.
Even you have had your own experience.
Yes, in Imo State, everything. You even see a situation where people sold. I have a friend, an oil and gas shell executive, who sold his property in Banaland to go and build properties in Owerri. We see the next governor came in and the thing was cancelled. It's the same issue. The governors will not honor contractual obligations. They act as emperors, and it goes a long way to discourage investors. So, and we must look inward. Most attentions are paid at the federal government level, but most of the issues that confront Nigeria are issues that has to do with subnationals, the states and local government areas. And the more Nigerians begin to pay attention at what happened at that level, the better for each and every one of us.
A lot of people will ask, you said the Chinese guys were being clever by half to go after a presidential jet. Yeah. Which other assets do you think they'll have gone after?
To be honest, when you have an agreement with somebody, a contract obligation, there are terms that are set within that contract. This is not a loan. If there was a sub-sovereign loan, we would have said, okay, they defaulted, they can put recourse on federal government. This is a contract that has to do with development.
But they had gone to arbitration and they had gotten an award of 74 million.
They got their award. Yeah. But the assets being foreclosed does not belong to Ogun State government.
Yes.
You, for example, now, if I am owing you, you have no right to go and take the asset that belongs to even my own younger brother, the same mother, the same father.
Some people have argued, but Ogun State is a subset of Nigeria, the federal
government. By the constitution of the federal government, Ogun State is an independent federating unit.
Okay.
They have no right to foreclose. An embarrassment to Nigeria.
So why did then the court grant them the capacity to be able to do this in Paris?
It's something I cannot explain. I'm not a lawyer, but the fact remains that the assets belong to the federal government.
Yes, granted. So why did the court grant them that? Why did the court grant them that?
That is what I will not provide any informed.
Because it's not only one jurisdiction; it's more than one jurisdiction.
In France, in the US,
and all of that.
Anyway, I'm sure the federal government of Nigeria has the capacity to wade in and sort this out. And again, that should also put a watch. The federal government of Nigeria should look critically now into what the states are doing, because what they are doing is impacting negatively on the ease of attracting foreign direct investment into Nigeria. We've been talking about, the FDIs have dried up, the foreign diaspora investment has, diaspora remittances have tanked out. We need to look at what is happening at the sub-sovereign level. A lot of focus are on the federal government of that, which is not supposed to be so.
Should the Attorney General of the Federation now say to all the Attorney Generals across the state, please, you got any arbitration or judgment debts against the states, can you bring them forward? Let's even evaluate.
Exactly. Even some contractual obligations that may have similar impact, they need to sit down. There should be a handshake. They need to, when Obasanjo was president, he used to complain that sometimes governors would disappear. They wouldn't even tell him they are traveling. Yes, they are independent, but that does not mean that they will not let the federal government know what they are doing. It helps us for checks and balances and for integration and the harmonious governance across the space in Nigeria.
So the two governors involved, Ibekule Amoso and Gbenga Daniel, jointly released a statement. The position they were holding, especially Ibekule Amoso, that these guys are scammers. That what happened originally was the fact that there was a dispute between two Chinese companies. And this company was one of the companies in dispute that has supplied information that was seen not to be true against the other Chinese company. So they told them to hold the same, portion of a free trade area temporarily till they sorted it out. So on investigation, they discovered that this Chinese company, Funshun, was, in the wrong and they were lying. So it was when they booted them out that they went to seek international arbitration, and they said lied pretty much in the international community. Well, what do you make of this story?
Rufai, based on precedents and history, I will not want to be quick to believe what the governors...
You know more than the governors?
Rufai is not knowing more than them. I'm telling you based on experience. Most of these governors act as emperors. Rufai, for this thing to have gotten to this level, were they not notified of this matter?
They said they've been trying to
What efforts did they take to defend?
They said they've been trying to vacate all of this in the courts.
And so why did it get to this level of us losing our presidential fleet to those Chinese?
Maybe they weren't successful. They were still a work in progress. Maybe now that there's been a lot of light shined on it, now maybe we'll be able to win an appeal.
Did they carry along the federal government of Nigeria and the Federation in this matter? If this thing had not happened, even the federal government may even be in the dark.
No, but you went back, you said before that Ogun State is a single entity on its own, so why should they carry the federal government?
So that's what I'm telling you. So the truth is, Rufai, from precedents, from antecedents, this governor, I'll give you an example. Another example from my state, Imo State. An investor brought in Radisson to do a 10-story building, a 10-story resort. CEO for everything issues, contract awarded. A governor was in place, everything, they started the building. The guy borrowed money from our friends. The next governor came in and stopped the whole thing. The guy went to court to obtain judgment against the state. That judgment was not vacated. The governor did not even take any step to appeal it, but they sat on it. Investment that has taken so much money. The bank's interest is running. The principal is not repaid. The project has practically become, stale.
So maybe people will now twist it and say, why didn't the person that did that deal put an arbitration clause to be done abroad? Maybe they will have listened to it.
Even if there's an arbitration clause abroad, this is a Nigerian. If it was a Chinese company, a similar thing would have happened. The question...
So maybe that's the way to get the governors
actually to work. Okay, what of Patutomi? You saw the Pat narrated his own incident in the same Ogun State.
And I would like for Patutomi, at any time on this platform to come share that experience. So we really know what is going on.
So somebody like Patutomi is not flippant. And these things, it happens every day, every time. So we must see, if there is no respect for values, there's no way you can bring development in an economy. And we must look inward, ask ourselves, do we truly want to bring in investment into this country? Like I said, Nigeria ticks the right boxes to attract nothing less than $100 billion investment annually into this economy.
So why is the money not coming in?
That is what I'm telling you. We're going to discuss about inflation, and I will explain to you. When we talk about all these issues, inflation is on the rise, food inflation of 40%. Every focus on the federal government of Nigeria. The federal government of Nigeria does not own an inch of the land. By the reason of the Land Use Act, the governors control the land. And if you look at the First Republic, you could see clearly. I saw the other day the federal government trying to revamp the cutting, this thing. It's the job of the state governors if they are proactive. Because in the First Republic, it was the regions that were trying to explore the latent resources within. In the north, we had the cotton, the textile, and everything. In the west, the tallest building in Ibadan today, still standing, was built with cocoa proceeds. In the southeast, old eastern Nigeria, we had a young medical doctor, 39 years, who built the fastest growing economy in the whole of the Commonwealth. Palm oil, coal, the same coal that we have abandoned. Nigeria has probable coal reserve of 2.75 million tons. A proven reserve of 639 million tons.
But they could only do that because there was a 63 constitution that says that the states control all the money they got, not the federal government, and they can in turn give a certain percentage to the federal government. Okay, Rufai. So you say we should go back to that 63 constitution?
Yes, we should, but even before then.
So that means you are saying restructuring should happen?
It should happen. And if even for something to happen, the governors must back it. Rufai, let me tell you, there is this thing that we think that the power resides with the president. It's not true. Rufai, we know how powerful these governors are. If 24 governors today stand and say, okay, we want Nigeria restructured back to the 1963 constitution.
You think the governors can go against the president?
Rufai, it's 24 governors. All they just to get their National Assembly members from their state. They are very that influential. All the governors are that
when most of these governors are of the party of the president, you think they will go against him?
See, let me tell you, Rufai.
Why have the lawmakers not gone against the president yet? Why are they
Rufai, because they don't have the interest of Nigeria at heart. I'll give you an example of food inflation.
You think the governors have the interest of Nigeria at heart?
They don't. That is the issue. Rufai, I'll give you an example now. We'll talk about food inflation. Do you know that, it's very, you will talk about insecurity. These governors collect 10% of the FAC and JAC every year as security votes. Some of them 25 billion naira. That is not accounted for. Rufai, just think about it. We have 8,809 electoral ward. These governors with the local government chairman, we've written to some of them. I'm into agric, massive agric development. We say, okay, in every electoral ward, create 300 to 500 hectares of agro-industrial park. What do? Fence the place, provide security. Local community security. Provide borehole, do road into it. Private investors will go there, because if you have an agro-industrial park that can process from the upstream to the processing to the storage, Rufai, we've done number in the southeast. A 10 kg of yam is about 10,000 naira. Okay. But Rufai, we know what we can do to bring in that 10,000 naira. Okay. With the states.
So you've talked about this agro-industrial park. Should we be happy about this inflation number as an indication that there's still a lot more disaster down the road? No,
Rufai, let me tell you. With the number now, before the number is already coming down because we're in the harvest season. Yeah. But of course, we can do 24/7, 365 days agric if we put in place the infrastructure. And what's that infrastructure? Provide security, provide irrigation, which the governors can do. We've shown them how they can, under emissions, community, private, public partnership arrangements. What the governor, nobody's asking them for their FAC and JAC. Provide the security, create the clusters. Even Cardoso even told them he's not going to dish out money like the former CBN governor. He said, give me the structure and I will fund it. I'll give you an example now. In the southeast of Nigeria, to be able to provide enough yam that will provide the yam consumption that will crash the price, we need to do about 2,500 hectares of yam plantations that can produce about 369 million tubers of yam, 5 kg to 10 kg. Rufai, we've done the numbers. If the governor of Imo State today decides today that he wants to produce enough rice, enough gari, enough yam to crash the price by 100%, Rufai, it can easily be done. But the point that these governors, everybody is focusing on Abuja, Mr. President, in the right sense of it, we're not supposed to have federal Minister of Agriculture.
Let's talk about storage. We have over 50% post-harvest loss. Now that we are in harvest season, the sad reality is that by December, when harvest season starts to peter out, where's the food? Prices start to jack back up.
That is the same issue I'm talking about here. If we have,
so how do we get proper storage?
That is where the governors come in. Rufai, if we
have,
have
build silos, do they have the capacity?
They don't. They can't even. Nobody's asking them to do it. Rufai, I'll give you an example now. We have tomato that is practically wasted. Yeah. You know that tomato can actually be processed into powdery form. Yeah. Into paste for long storage. Rufai, we have people that can do this. Private sector. But do you know why most of them are not doing it? There must be organized clusters. There must be security in place. I'll give you an example again. We'll talk about what are the causes of inflation in Nigeria. 3 critical reasons why we have inflation, because we have insecurity. Farmers are not going to farm. 2, the working capital we have in Nigeria, which is the oil and gas sector. That if we are doing 2.4 million barrels a day, and the downstream sector is plugged, the leakage is there, and the refineries are working, by now we'll have had enough working capital that will stabilize the foreign exchange market. I'll give you an example. You talk about impunity. Do you know that there are 3 major ecosystems of oil and gas in Nigeria? Lagos, Warri, and Port Harcourt. But as I'm talking to you, the Warri ecosystem, there's a particular ecosystem in Warri North that has 4 depots. That Marina, Sayers, Taros, and 1 green mark. That green mark, Nigeria did over $790 million worth of mineral oil exports. That depot accounted for 20% of it. But those depots have been shut down for the past 8 months.
So what's happening with Taros?
The NDPRA, these guys.
So why did they shut down Taros?
Let me explain to you. NNPC.
And people are losing jobs in cocoa.
I said they've lost so much money. Rufai, NNPC, they have a storage agreement. No, like we said, the most critical issue here is storage in Nigeria. Dangote will be producing very soon. Dangote capacity is about 103 million refined products every year. If the NNPC refineries start working, Nigeria will be having about 1 million liters every day. Storage comes in. These depots were built to provide 120 billion investment. NNPC stores with them. Normally they bring the product, they will store for them. NNPC brought product, and those guys saw that what they bought was water, half of it was water. And the guys seized the vessel, stopped the vessel, blew the whistle. Under normal circumstances, they're supposed to give them an award and clap for them. And then DPRA locked up the place that we're going to investigate and open it. As I'm talking to 8 months.
So
the jetty shut down.
NNDPR prefers to destroy the livelihoods of people with that of Taros rather than fix the problem on ground and ensure that we have total supply with all of this tank farm. So you are saying because of that, the oil ecosystem is not firing the way it's supposed to fire.
That is why we have scarcity today to fire. 150 million liter capacity cut out. Those depots were very strategic for the middle belt. The Abuja, most of them supply towards Abuja. Because it's from Cocoa you hit Ueli, Auji, and then to the north. For 8 months, the vessel had been tied up there. See, this is because that's clear sabotage.
That also feeds into inflation number. When you see energy prices going up, it also feeds into the inflation system.
But you know what shocks me? Why the federal government of Nigeria has not intervened to open up that place? Over 3,000 jobs lost. Nigeria has lost over 20% of annual $790 million because that storage in Green Mark uses the Taros jetty and Taros pipes. And they store byproducts for Nnaemeka refinery, Watersmith. That depot had been shut for 8 good months, Rufai.
Hence the supply problem. Okay, so we've talked about what to do to be able to get us out of this quagmire of inflation. What do we do with logistics? Because logistic costs also add to inflation as we start to wrap things up.
Good. Rufai, we know we talked about CNG the other time.
Yes.
To roll out the CNG program in Nigeria, Rufai, in integrated fashion will cost about $1 billion. Very simple. To do the processing, because we have to have a processing plant. That one will take about $100 million. Yeah. To have mother stations in every of the senatorial zone. Each mother station costs about 1.2 million setup. That one is another hundreds of millions rolled out. We must have at least conversion kits, 2 in every local government area. Then we can partner with IPMAN to have filling stations, CNG filling stations. Yeah,
like some stations.
Yes, and to do a CNG station will take about $300,000 to do. Rufai, with $1 billion, we will unlock value. It's not a federal government. It must be a PPP thing between the federal government.
So how does that feed into the logistics?
It does. We can easily do 1 million. Most of these Korope buses, most of these even yellow buses, those big buses can easily be converted.
But I already see big trucks now using CNG.
Yes, most of Dangote trucks use CNG. CNG is about 50% cheaper than any other energy source.
Thank you so much for all these great ideas as you normally would share here, Dr. Obiaraeri.